Welcome back to It's Good in the Woods. Thanks for joining me. It's review time, and today we're talking about the Luxe hiking gear Megahorn III. I bought this tent because I was, and still am, very impressed with the Luxe hiking gear Mini Peak XL. That's an awesome tent. But I wanted a bigger lightweight tent, so I bought this over 6 months ago, and here we are. So let's dive into this thing and see what it's all about. First up, we have an awesome stuff sack. Clearly labeled. There's buckles on each side and in the middle, and it all opens up with a big, huge opening that's never going to leave you struggling to put the tent back in the stuff sack. Luxe did a really good job with this. And here's what you get. Stove jack, the tent, pole, the tent cap, the stakes. The tent comes with 16 of these aluminum Y stakes. These things are pretty much useless in the winter, so I use these. I get these at the Home Depot. They're cheap and effective. Now let's set this thing up and go over the details. The tent has 6 webbing stake-up points that are adjustable. With the door zipped shut, loosely stake out the 4 corners by the door panels. Take care to make this layout as square as possible. Now that the 4 corners by the door are staked out, I'm going to use the pole. Pitch the tent. The pole comes in 5 pieces, and it has a wide range of adjustability. The top of the pole has a tip that fits into the grommets and the webbing at the peak of the tent. Insert the pole. Stake out the remaining 2 points and adjust accordingly. At this point, I like to put on the cap, which is easily attached by the clips. I like to keep the cap loose for increased ventilation, but in nasty weather, the vent can be tightened up by simply crossing over the attachment points. There are 6 additional shot cord tie-out points at the base of the tent. Each piece of shot cord runs to a reinforced piece of webbing that is attached to the tent. Stake out these points and continue adjusting and tightening the tent. Additionally, there are 4 2-point guy-out points. Allow yourself some time to set these tents up properly. Getting these tents pitched right usually takes a series of constant adjustments. The structure and integrity of the tent rely on how well you stake it out and the strength of the center pole. What you're looking for is for all these panels to be tight, even tension, and as evenly spaced as possible. It can be pretty tedious and tricky to set these tents up. It really can, especially the first few times or in nasty windy weather. But like anything else, with some time and practice, it gets easier and easier every time. If you get the stove tent option, you get a stove jack like this. It's 10 inches by 14 inches of silicone coated fiberglass. It's got a little flap here that rolls down over your pipe to help keep water out, and it comes pre-cut with a 3x6 oval hole. If you need a bigger hole, you're going to have to cut it yourself. No big deal. It has Velcro around all the edges for easy installation. To install the stove jack, simply remove the rain cover and replace it with the stove jack. Easy. The outer tent is made from 68 denier polyester taffeta with a 185 tensile strength. It's polyurethane coated with a hydrostatic head of 1500 millimeters, and all the seams are taped. The stitching is good, backed up, and reinforced adequately. The zippers are holding up well and work smoothly, and each snow skirt panel has 2 tie-up points so it can be rolled up. This is not a ripstop material, and in my opinion, that's the biggest flaw of the whole tent. And that's reflected in the price. I mean, for $200, it's one hell of a tent. If this thing rips, you had best be prepared to repair, because once it starts, it's not going to stop. You're going to want to carry some sort of adhesive to repair it in the field. Gorilla tape, Flex Seal tape, tenacious tape, something of the sort. Some sort of adhesive that's going to help prevent that material from ripping further. I bring Gorilla tape in hopes that that will fix the problem if it were to occur. This tent has a 7-foot 2-inch peak height with a 13.1 by 10.8 foot floor plan. The 7-foot 2-inch peak height can be a little bit misleading. If you're 6 feet tall or more, don't think because of the 7-foot 2-inch peak height that you're going to be standing in here with a ton of free room, because that's just not the case. I'm 5'7" and 1/2 inch. These tents, the walls close in fast. This is a bug mesh liner that can be opened up so that you can put a stovepipe through here. You can run a chimney pipe through here and put a stove in the middle of the tent. Get your insulation sleeve, run it up through here, tighten this up. Or in the summertime, if there's bugs and stuff and you need the ventilation, you can take this cap off and then tighten this bug mesh net up, and you're safe from the bugs. So that's pretty cool. Now, Luxe claims that this is a 4-person tent and that you can fit 4 cots in it. And I'm going to say good luck with that. I'm sure it's doable, but it's going to be tight. 4 people without cots and a wood stove, I'm sure is manageable if you're a family. Like 2 adults, 2 kids, I'm sure that's manageable. 3 people without cots and a wood stove, very doable. 2 adults with a cot and a stove, this thing's perfect. And for 1 person, this thing is just a palace. Tons of room. It's awesome. I have used this tent with 2 people. We each had our own cot and a wood stove. And there was more than enough room. It's a roomy tent. The doors on these things are short. I'm not a very big guy, and I still have to duck to get in here. Although the door is short, I do like the door system on this tent. You've got this main panel, and there's also a bug mesh door panel as well. And they can be used independently of each other. If it's summertime and hot, you can take this door roll it up and get it out of the way. With that door panel rolled up and out of the way, you have full open access to this screen door, which also can be rolled up and held out of the way. And now that the screen panel is rolled up, I'm free to use the solid door panel without the screen being in the way. That's a pretty cool feature. And there's 2 doors that are identical to each other on opposing ends of the tent. Just like the Mini Peak XL, this 2-door system creates a lot of airflow and a lot of options. And it's a real handy feature for when you're camping with more than 1 person. Having your own door is nice, so you don't have to climb all over everybody else's stuff. Like most of the tents that Luxe offers, this is a modular system. They offer all kinds of bathtub floors and inners for this tent. There's just a slew of options. With all the options that they offer, it's really just a matter of figuring out what configuration or configurations that work best for you. It's a really well thought out system. It's pretty slick. And here are some of the options that you can find for this tent. So now that we've gone over this tent, I'd like to quickly tell you guys about how it's treated me over the last 6 months. I've had it in snowstorms, I've had it in rain, I've used it as a hot tent, I've used it with 2 people, I've used it as just a regular standalone tent with no stove at all, and no hiccups. This tent's never really let me down. It's been a great tent so far for me. It didn't stretch and rip when there was a snow load on it. It did what it's supposed to, and it's been working well for me so far. And just like I was inspired by the Mini Peak XL to buy this tent, I was inspired by this tent to buy this tent. And I'll tell you all about this one later. I hope you enjoyed this review and found it useful, and maybe it will help you decide whether or not this is a tent that will or will not work for you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your support. If you like these gear reviews and adventure, please consider subscribing to my channel. I appreciate the support, and I'll talk to you guys later.